So today, we are here to talk about being an agent of love. It's the next installment in our Fall Faith series, based on the book Love for No Reason. And we found out this past week that we have been mispronouncing our author's name for 3 weeks now. So we are going to rewind all those tapes, and from this point forward, let you know that this book is authored by a woman by the name of Marcy Shimoff, as opposed to Shimoff. So, over the last 3 weeks, Marcy has been helping us learn how it is that we can be and express more from a place of unconditional love. Unconditional love. And a part of that journey, she has supported us through her use of the human chakra system. We started off 3 weeks ago getting ourselves grounded, moving into that first chakra area so that we can be aware in the moment, to be present to the moment and everything and everyone that may be around us at any given point in time. And then from there, we moved into the second chakra, and we talked about how from that place of being grounded, we can begin to call forth from within us the vitality and the energy of life, how we could experience the fullness of life and everything that it has to offer, and that's right in that second chakra. And then last week, we went right into our guts, and we began to give some time and attention to those inner critics, the third chakra, those voices within us that would tell us that we can't, or we won't, or we'll never, or will you fill in the blank with whatever word works for you. We took this whole idea of love for no reason, this concept of unconditional love, and we began offering it to ourselves. And then we left last week having taken that love of self and allowing it to open our hearts more fully, the fourth chakra, to allow our hearts to expand and to begin to express that love to people around us and to see what a difference that can make in our life experiences. And so that leads us to today, where we're arriving at the fifth chakra, and it is the chakra of communication. And this communication energy center is right here in the throat. And it also encompasses our entire neck, our mouths, our ears. And the center of energy is the one that influences our ability to express ourselves fully and to listen to other people with openness. In the book, Marcy offers that it is a channel between our inner world of thoughts and feelings and our outer world of experiences and relationships. That inner world of thoughts and feelings and the outer world of experiences and relationships. Now, I don't know about you, but there have been times in my life where there have been this channel within me between having something I wanted to say and my ability to express it clearly to someone else has been pretty clogged up. And what eventually came out on the other end was just a mess. So how do we get this channel of communication unclogged? Well, Shimoff offers us 2 suggestions. She says, first of all, speak authentically. And secondly, she says, listen without judgment. So let's think about both of those things for just a second. Think about speaking authentically. Is it always easy to do so? No, just go back to last week. There are times in our lives where we know how we feel. We know what we believe, we know what we want to say, and as soon as it gets to here comes the inner critic saying, how dare you feel like that? Or how dare you have an opinion that's different from such and such about so-and-so, or with so-and-so about such and such? Or that voice that says, you're never going to find the strength to say how it is you really feel and what you really think. And then think about listening without judgment. Think about when you are listening to someone else. Aren't there times when they're talking to you and you're already forming your response in your mind? Or maybe you're starting to get up your defense of whatever your position might be that is different from the one that they're expressing to you. Think about those times when your mind just wanders off. Maybe it's to your to-do list or something, and so you end up missing half of what is being said to you, which can really muck up the exchange and perhaps even damage the relationship. Now, is it any wonder that at times this channel of communication can get clogged up? Well, Marcy says it doesn't have to. And I'd like to agree with that. So we're going to take a closer look at those two keys that she offered to us today. And the first key was to speak authentically. In the book, she titles it, Speak the Language of Love. And she says that speaking authentically means that you express yourself with an open and vulnerable heart while maintaining your strength. And she offers us 4 ways in the book as to how we might do that. And the first thing she offers to us is to appreciate others. To just speak words of appreciation to someone else, it opens our hearts. It sends forth the love of that appreciation to another person. Remember last week when we moved into opening our heart space and we did it in the silence. We just silently brought a thought of someone, something, some experience into our minds, and we allowed that to bring forth our appreciation for it, and in turn expanded our hearts. So today, think about how we can put the power of the spoken word behind those thoughts and express them vocally. Think about how much more the heart can open and how much more love can be offered to the person with whom you're in that exchange. Look at the calendar right around the corner. It's Thanksgiving. And many times, families and friends will come together around a table to share that meal, and they'll also share things that they're grateful for. And they might also share something about each person around the table, something that they appreciate about them. And I know here at the ministry, oftentimes when someone leaves the staff and moves on to whatever's next for them to do, or our board members and their time of service on the board of directors, we do sit in circle, and we will go around that circle, and each one of us present will just say one thing. Although we have a litany in our minds and in our hearts, we just share one thing that we're appreciative of with regards to that other person. Appreciation is a powerful tool to speak and communicate authentically. A second way in which we can speak our truth and to speak authentically is to speak our truth, to really say how it is we're feeling. Sometimes, and I'm included in this, we tend to bottle up our feelings, or we just bury them. Or maybe we become the peacemaker and just say whatever is expected of us or what we know the other people want to hear. But you see, when we're doing that, all we're doing is clogging up that channel of communication. And personally, I believe that sooner or later it's going to blow. And it's not going to be pretty when it does. Now, that doesn't mean that we just go off blurting whatever's on our hearts and in our minds when we're in a state of emotional charge either. In fact, when we're in a state of emotional charge and emotionally charged feelings, the best thing we can do is be quiet. Just take a breath or 2 or 3 or 4. Maybe remove ourselves from the circumstance or the situation that's around us. Ground ourselves again, move into our hearts and let them open. And then, from that place, speak authentically with the purest of intentions and of personal truth. Now, my greatest lesson in speaking my truth and not doing it while emotionally charged came a little over a year after I was divorced. And that would put me in early 2004. The divorce was in 2002, and it wasn't amicable. And in the months leading up to that process, my ex-husband and I engaged in numerous emails that were just filled with anger and hurtful words and distrust and a whole lot of negativity. And I can honestly say that most of those emails were initiated by him, but I fed right into that negativity and that negative energy in my responses to him. See, I was one of those people, pretty much for all my life, that just kept my feelings bottled up. I just stuffed them down, and I was that peacekeeper. I said whatever would keep the peace, whatever other people wanted to hear, and I let my own feelings I let them go. But when I finally decided that I could no longer be that peacemaker or that complacent Eileen that so many people thought I was, well, remember I said before, the clogging is going to blow? Well, it blew. And what came out was not pretty at all. And my ex-husband's emails were a big catalyst for that to happen. But thankfully, that didn't last long because I learned how to let go of the negativity. I learned how to show up differently in my life and still be able to communicate my truth. And so I simply just stopped responding to his emails. And eventually, he stopped sending them until that spring of 2004. I got an email from him, and the wording in it to me, came across to me as basically demanding that I meet with him because he had something that he wanted to share with me or talk with me about. And so I agreed. And I agreed to meet him at a coffee house, and we sat down, and he began to tell me what it was he expected of me in the months ahead. Now, the divorce was final 18 months earlier. So I just sat there and I listened, and he proceeded to pull out papers and diagrams and spreadsheets, and he just put them on a Bible. Bless his heart. He put them on the table there and continued to just share what he expected of me. Now, that old Eileen would have blown and spewed all over him in public. I would not have cared. But thankfully, just about a week or two before I met with him, I had completed a class at the church, the Unity Church I was attending at the time, and it was called Communicating from the Heart. And that class offered a 4-step technique called Nonviolent Communication, or NVC for short. And NVC is a program, a technique that was developed by a man named Marshall Rosenberg. And it helps us to express ourselves in loving ways while still getting our needs met. And so I thought, okay, I will use this in this circumstance that I found myself in. And the 4 steps really aren't that difficult. The first step says just observe. Just be present to the moment, that grounded place. Be present to the moment and observe what's happening. I was reminded as I was reading through this again of that old police show from, I think it was the 60s, Dragnet, where the cop said, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. That's all you got to do for step 1 is observe. And then the second step is to check in and ask, what am I feeling about this? And name it. Claim the feelings. Are you unhappy? Are you angry? Are you irritated, frustrated, confused? What is it? Check in with yourself and name your feelings. The third step is to take those feelings and say, well, why am I feeling this way? See, Marshall Rosenberg puts forth the premise within NVC that all negative emotions are a result of having an unmet need in ourselves. And so another way to ask that third step is, what need do I have in this moment that's not being met? And then the fourth step is to make a request and state it clearly, whatever it is you want to ask. Okay, so you observe, you name your feelings, you ask what need isn't being met, and then you make a request. Okay, so this is how the coffee shop conversation continued. Now, my ex-husband's name is Nick. And I said, Nick, I have heard and looked at what you're asking of me. And I feel very disrespected and angry. I need you to hear me when I say that I will not agree to these things, to what you are asking. And I'm asking you to never bring them or anything like them to me again. And then I lived through the longest 15 seconds of silence I have ever experienced. But that was about how long it was. Felt like an eternity, but it was just about 15 seconds or so. And at that point, he snatched up all of his papers, kicked back his chair, almost knocking it over, and stormed out of the coffee shop. I never heard another word from him. You see, nonviolent communication doesn't guarantee you that traditional happily ever after, because sometimes that's not the best for everyone involved. But what it does promise you, what it does guarantee you, is an opportunity to speak your truth from a place of love and to get your needs met. See, I didn't go to see him at that coffee shop to have a reconciliation with him as a husband. See, I went there to listen and then to speak my truth to him without any ounce of anger or negativity or that horrible energy that can come up when you're in disagreement with other people. And when I left that coffee shop, I was filled with peace, and I felt as strong as a person and as a woman that I had ever felt in my life. Now, if you would like to learn more about NVC, about nonviolent communication, and how it is that you can use it in your lives and in your relationships. We're offering a 3-part class series that begins today, this afternoon at 1 o'clock. We have 2 congregants, very long-time members, huge volunteers throughout our community here, Jan Stanley and Heidi Darrow. They're going to be offering this class series, and these 2 women, they live NVC every single day of their lives. It is a huge part of their passion in life. They're going to lead the series, and they have also taken, at least for the past year, maybe 2 years now, they have taken this program out into the Kansas City schools. And so our children are learning at a very young age how it is to not stuff their feelings and to express them from a place of love without any negativity needing to come into the picture. It is an impactful program. It changed my life. I mean, we try to come up with more current examples as we give our talks sometimes, but that one is nearly 10 years old, whatever it is, and it is still serving me today. It was that powerful. Okay, the third tool that Marcy offers us to communicate from our hearts is another one that I just absolutely love, and it is music. She tells us of how powerful a tool music can be. I mean, music's known to be a healer. Many of you know, or maybe you've heard of Janalia Huffman. She's been here several times in the past offering her healing concerts here at the ministry. And she also takes her healing music and she will go room to room to room in the hospitals throughout this area, just playing her healing music for the patients that are there. See, it's been proven that music can have a positive effect on the symptoms that we're experiencing as we move through different health challenges in our lives. Music can help de-stress us. Music can just open our hearts. I mean, you don't have to go anywhere further than where you're sitting right now. Think about the way our music team touches our hearts every single Sunday. On any given Sunday, I invite you to look at them. Whether it's our song leaders, our soloists, our band, look at their faces as they are offering their gifts to us. You can see the passion. You can feel the love that's in their heart that they are giving to us through their gift of music. And then when you're done looking at them, turn around and look at each other. There are times I'm sitting up here with Bob and Patricia, and they start that opening song, and there are people, I see you dancing to your seats. You're dancing through the aisle, even going sideways dancing. You can see heads bobbing. You can see the toes tapping, or the hand going on your leg. You can see people singing along, people standing up, people clapping. And then think of that moment when it's all over and we're offering our appreciation to them with the applause, which is just an outward symbol of what we're feeling inside in our hearts. One song, maybe no more than 3 minutes in length, can help move us from a place of being completely closed down to a place of being completely open, filled up and overflowing with love. And the last tool that we're offered today to help to speak authentically is pretty simple. Marcy tells us to smile. Come on. Haven't we all heard it said at one point in our lives that it takes so many more muscles in our face to frown than it does to smile? 2 weeks ago, I traveled down to Houston, Texas, and I went there to officiate the wedding of my older son, Nicholas. And at the same time that I was there, I was able to spend more time with my new granddaughter, Macy, my son Christopher's 2-month-old baby. Now, between the honor, the absolute honor that it was to officiate my son's wedding, and the fact that I got to hold little Macy and feed her and change her and just love on her for over a week, I mean, I couldn't help but have a smile on my face. I was smiling just about the entire time I was there. And other people started to be affected by it. They started smiling. They started to share their stories of grandmotherhood or family weddings or whatever joyous celebration may have occurred in their life. It was absolutely contagious. And smiles can be that way. But I also know that sometimes we don't want to smile. We don't want to smile. We don't feel like smiling. And yet in those times, we're reminded to try to bring back into our memories some very important words, very wise words from that wonderful Buddhist monk, Thich Nhat Hanh. Because he said that sometimes your joy is the source of your smiles. but sometimes your smile can be the source of your joy. So now we're going to move on to the second key. The second key that we're offered today is to listen without judgment. Marcy calls it to hear from the heart. Now, to listen without judgment, to hear from the heart, she says, that means that when you listen, there is nothing blocking your connection with the other person. That truly listening to another person means that you're willing to really hear what they say, and you get very clear not only on what they are saying, but also the feelings that they're expressing. So again, I have to check in. Has anybody else, like me, ever misinterpreted something that someone said to them? Yeah. Or have any of you, like me, ever told someone how they should be feeling or how they are feeling after they just told you how they really were feeling? And has anyone ever said to you, you shouldn't feel that way? Now, how does that feel? See, more often than not, these blocks, again, that channel of communication occurs because we have not truly listened. We've not truly listened. I mean, we're there with the person, we're right there, not even a foot away from them. But as I said earlier, as they begin to talk, we begin to form our own response. Or we start to remember something in our own life that's so very similar to what it is they're sharing with us. Or maybe we're wondering what time the grocery store is going to close, and is this conversation going to end in time for me to get to where I need to go? And then we get upset when someone tells us we never listened to them. See, what we're invited to do, to practice and to learn today, is what Marcy Shimoff speaks of in the book as compassionate listening. Now, I tend to use the term or the phrase empathetic listening. And perhaps the easiest way for me to talk with you about that a little bit this morning is to share with you an exercise that I use every year with our prayer chaplains as they move through their time of training. You see, listening is crucial to a chaplaincy program. We would never want anyone in this room to feel as if you have not been heard when you ask for a prayer. And so what I do with the chaplains is I ask them to pair off. And once they're all set up in their pairs, I take around a bag of hearth stones. You know, those stones are usually shaped like a heart. They're clay. They've got a word etched in them, some divine quality usually, you know, like faith or imagination, creativity, love, and so on and so forth. And when everybody has their stone and the pairs are set, I ring a chime. And for the next 2 minutes, the chaplain who picked the stone tells their partner why it is they think they chose that particular word on that particular day. And the only job the other chaplain has in those 2 minutes is to listen. They don't say a word. They don't speak, but they make a connection. They make a connection through their eye contact. They make a connection by gently nodding their head in acknowledgement of what is being offered to them. Their facial expressions might mirror the emotions that are being expressed by the chaplain who's sharing. They might lean in just a little bit in their chair to again acknowledge that they are connected with their partner. And if the sharing chaplain stops talking because maybe they don't know the next thought, or perhaps that word, oftentimes it brings up emotions for them. And so they're tearing up, they're trying to gather themselves. Even in those moments, the listening chaplain doesn't say a word. Then when the 2 minutes is up, I ring that chime again, and the chaplain who listened reflects back to the chaplain who shared what it was they heard. And more often than not, everybody's happy. But every so often, a chaplain or two will have to say to their partner, well, you know, that's really not what I said. Or that's not what I meant whenever I was explaining this to you. And so they come back together again. There's more talking, there's more listening, there's more reflecting, until that channel of communication has absolutely no blocks in it. See, this is a tool that serves our chaplains so greatly as they prepare to stand in that sacred space of receiving you and listening to the prayer requests you make of them here or over the phone when they call you throughout the month. You see, when we commit ourselves, when we're really committed to listening to another person, It's never about us. It is always about the person speaking. If our minds, if we allow them to wander off, we're focused on us. If we start remembering our own stories, we're focused on us. If a prayer chaplain ever completes your prayer request before you're finished speaking, they're focused on themselves. Listening is always about the person speaking. And listening can be one of the greatest gifts we offer to another human being. Being an agent of love, it means to speak and to hear from the heart. And we've been offered several tools today to help us do that more often, more consistently. And there's a very powerful intention that's underlying and is the foundation for these tools that we can build upon. And that foundation and that intention is in the words of our weekly prayer affirmation. And so as they bring it up on the screen, I'd like to ask that you say it out loud with me together. I am an agent of love. I listen and speak my truth with authenticity, empathy, and compassion. And I'm inviting everyone to really focus on those last three words: authenticity, empathy, compassion. If each one of us can truly speak and express from that place for just 30 minutes total over this next coming week, I can't even begin to imagine how much more love there would be in the energy field around us. It is a powerful, powerful place to speak your truth from that place of grounding. In Marshall Rosenberg's book, Nonviolent Communication, there's a poem that's written by Ruth Biebermeyer, and I'd like to share a portion of it with you today to close our lesson. And she writes, I feel so sentenced by your words. I feel so judged and sent away. Before I go, I've got to know, is that what you mean to say? Before I rise to my defense, before I speak in hurt or fear, before I build that wall of words, tell me, did I really hear? Words are windows or they're walls. They sentence us or set us free. When I speak and when I hear, let the love light shine through me. When you speak and when you hear, let the love light shine through you. God bless you.